You all right there, Giles?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first live web chat with U.S. National Swim Team member Giles Smith. Giles, thank you so much for celebrating our second birthday with Black Kids Swim and being
Yes.
with us
Good to be here.
to give the community what they want, which is expert advice for young Black swimmers from those who know best. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Ebony. Thank you for having me, and thanks to Black Kids Swim for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. And give you a little rundown of my career. My name is Giles Smith. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. My mom and dad are Harold and Marcia Smith. Maybe they're watching back home. I hope so. And I originally started swimming as a 6-year-old kid in Baltimore, and I enrolled in some mommy and me swim classes. Neither of my parents were really swimmers or had swimming experience before, and they really just wanted me to have an opportunity to be water safe, and it kind of just grew from there, and I really enjoyed swimming.
Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in with our first question. This is from one of our Facebook followers, Tara Matthews. And she wanted to know, how can a young Black swimmer keep their body conditioned during the off season? And what programs are available for young Black swimmers that are interested in becoming professional swimmers?
Well, I think that's a really good question. There's a lot of steps to that question, but really where it starts in terms of the off season, the beginning part of really reaching the high level of swimming would be that there's not really much of an off season. You really have to be dedicated almost year around the clock. And not saying that you can't have breaks or you can't have days off, but it takes a lot. And when you really begin the sport of swimming, it's just all about learning the technical aspects, learning, really how to train, foundations and things like that. But as you go a lot further in the sport, it takes things like weight training, running, core, a lot of extra exercises. So what I would recommend for young Black athletes and young Black swimmers and just young swimmers in general would be to really just sit down with your coach and plan out what you need to do, what you want to accomplish, and understand that it's going to take a lot to get there, and it's going to take more than just swimming. Things I really recommend are flexibility. Being on a foam roller is really good for increasing your mobility and things like that. Visualization is really big. It's something that's helped me, I think, a lot over the years. It's just visualizing your races. So there's a lot of little components, and it's not just like maybe one thing, but there's a lot of little factors that can really, help you achieve your goal, and it takes a lot, outside the pool.
Can you talk a little bit more about the visualization?
Yeah, so visualization is something that I feel like nowadays we've gotten a little bit better about talking about it. But I had a good coach back home in Baltimore, Maryland. His name was Scott Ward, and he really had me do a lot of goal setting and visualization. And so what I would do was just close my eyes and just visualize the perfect race. And if it doesn't go your way, that's okay, because for young swimmers, the beauty of really replaying through and visualizing is that it stays in your head. And so if something goes wrong, you have the opportunity to replay that and restart the whole visualization. So when I was in high school, I'd visualize myself doing the 50 free, and I always wanted to break 20 seconds, which back then was really fast. Nowadays, you got high schoolers that are 18 seconds.
Wow.
But so I visualize all the time, just the perfect race, the perfect race. And I got to the point where I could start a stopwatch and stop my stopwatch, and it could be just pretty close right on to my goal time. And I would do that with my eyes closed. So just the power of visualization is really huge. And I think that was a good moment where I really realized that visualization can truly help you, because I visualized 19, 19, 19, 19, and it just happened. And that was the first real time I'd say that I really honed in on my visualization, and just, I mean, I knew what the pool was going to smell like. I knew what the stands were going to feel like. It's just, you know, a big commitment to really being prepared.
Thank you, Giles. We have another question from one of our Instagram followers, Mr. Team Row. He says, I'd like to know if a competitive swimmer can only get 5 hours or less a week in the pool, what other things should they do to get better?
Well, that's a really good question. 5 hours in the pool, I mean, I don't think that that's the end of the world. I think that you're at a little bit of a disadvantage, but you can combat that. So just really strength training and dry land are really huge. Doing things like planks, pull-ups, push-ups, full body range of motion exercises. I recommend, if you can't really get in a pool that much, to focus on stationary biking. When I was at University of Arizona, a lot of the athletes that we had, and especially a lot of the sprinters, we didn't run. And so instead of running, we biked. And that kind of saved my knees and everything. And I think that it really helped. And it still really is fatiguing, but it doesn't beat you up as much as running. But I think in order to really get back at that question, and if you're only able to train 5 hours, you really just have to make sure that every stroke that you do is diligent. Every stroke that you do is focused, and everything that you're doing outside the pool is just supplementing. So it's going to take a lot of extra dry land, a lot of extra flexibility. It might take some additional, you know, strength training sessions, but I think that swimmers can overcome something like that, especially young swimmers, because it's all about just understanding like how the body moves and how to move through water.
Okay. Also have a question from parents from the DC Wave team here in the DC, Maryland area.
Yeah, I'm from Baltimore originally, so
Okay.
I'm all the DC Wave people.
So just a few weekends ago, DC Wave participated in a distance meet where swimmers were swimming the 500 mile, the 1650, and a lot of kids, they want to be like you. They want to be a sprinter. They want to focus on those 50s and 100s. But can you talk about the value or the importance of swimming longer distances?
Yeah, I think that swimming longer distances, especially in high school and younger middle school, is huge. I love sprinting, and I love, you know, racing the 50 and the 100, and that's, you know, the fun stuff when you're going. But when I was in, you know, high school, um, I raced the mile, I raced 1,000, I swam the 400 IM at meets. I mean, I wasn't as good as it as I was at the hundreds, the 50s, and the 200s, but it was something that I think helped me, you know, being able to swim my sprints. You know, after you swim a mile, 100 free is nothing. So it's really it's good, and you just get to see what you really like and what you enjoy in the sport. I mean, there's a lot of kids that don't really know what their best event is, because, you know, it takes them a lot of trying, and I think that those distance events are huge. And think about it this way: if you can do a 1650, I mean, your 50 is not going to hurt. It's just all about executing. So they're just different races and different strategies, where, you know, the 1650, if you miss a wall, it's not going to kill you. Where, you know, in the 50, if you miss a wall, you should just go home.
Oh, no. Okay. Let's take another question from one of our Instagram followers.
Yeah.
What is a race plan, and how do you put a race plan together?
What is a race plan? That's a really good question. So a race plan is your basic strategy of what you want to do and how you want to execute your race. So for me, my favorite race and specialty race probably over the years that I've been swimming has been the 100 butterfly. And so with the 100 butterfly, you have to have a plan of how to swim it. And my race plan would be way different, short course yards as opposed to long course meters. So in short course, I would be a lot more aggressive just because the race is a lot shorter. And, you know, you just try to stay down and really get after those underwaters. I wasn't one of the biggest swimmers. In fact, I was probably the shortest swimmer on the U.S. national team the years when I was on it, you know, being 5'10". But at the same time, if you're short, I mean, you can be an amazing underwater kicker. There's no real limit to, you know, how good of a kicker you can be. And so that was just something I really focused on. And, you know, the first 50, I would always just use my easy speed and just try to get after it. And for me, it was always about kind of staying down that third turn and, you know, really trying to stay flat that last lap. Where, you know, the 100 fly long course, you know, the race plan is a lot different because the races are a lot longer. And so you have to be able to be more efficient and really focus on your hold on the water. So going back to our Instagram followers' question, race plans are just basically your strategy of how you're going to execute your race, because you can't just swim, you know, 100 freestyle and just say, oh, I'm going to go. Like, you know, that's not going to work. You can't physically do that. You have to pick and choose your spots. So race plans are, you know, the first 25, I'd like to, you know, be long and strong. The second 25, really pick up my kick. Third 25, everything you got. And for, you know, the hundreds, the fourth lap, there's no real strategy. It's just try to hang in there and be tough.
Try to hang in there. Okay. Another question from one of our moms on Twitter. Can you talk about nutrition and the importance of not just eating McDonald's?
Yeah, so I'll give you a really good, you know, introspection to my, you know, nutrition and the history that I've had with nutrition. So when I was a younger swimmer, I was probably one of the worst examples of nutrition. I actually ate a lot of fast food, a lot of fried chicken, a lot of Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, McDonald's, Wendy's. I like lived that stuff. And that wasn't really the right way to do it. And even through college, I did that. But lo and behold, after my college career, you know, I had the opportunity to swim professionally. And in order to do that, and, you know, I set the goal of trying to make the Olympic team. That didn't happen. But, you know, I had an opportunity to be right there. And when you have those types of opportunities, you're trying to do anything you can to really help you improve. And so one of the biggest areas from college swimming to my professional career was nutrition. I really kind of put down a lot of the fast food and a lot of the fried foods. And I just really started to eat a lot more greens, vegetables, smoothies, making sure you're getting in good rest. I lived, ate, and swam swimming, and my performances improved dramatically. And you don't have to really be, you know, crazy about it, like everything has to be organic or this and that. But I think a good place to start is just making sure you're eating, you know, 3 to 4 servings of fruit and vegetables a day. Just start there, and then make sure you have one of these, you know, for all of our swimmers that are in school. Make sure you have a water bottle, and in your school day, you should go through something like this maybe 10 times. I mean, it's a lot, and it's kind of a chore, but your body's really going to recover, and you're going to feel a lot better. So it's something that's for our young swimmers that are really trying to, you know, reach the next level. And if you really want to progress in the sport, you really have to be aware and take care of your body. It's a huge part of being an elite athlete, is taking care of your body.
So you mentioned hydration, 10 water bottles full of water a day.
10, something like 10, 20 ounces or something like that. I always, for high school kids, I would say a good goal would be to just try and get a gallon in.
Okay. And you said 3 to 4 servings of fruits and vegetables every day?
Every single day, you know. And if you don't like broccoli, that's okay. You know, have some spinach. If you don't like spinach, you know, mix it up. There's so many different things that you can do. You know, strawberries, blueberries, smoothies, beans. It's just about eating as many colors as you can, and those colors are really good and keep your body detoxified. And, you know, we have a lot of stress and pollutants in the air, so it's just all about just making sure that the fuel that you're putting in your body, because, you know, as swimmers, we're not just trying to live, we're basically race cars. So I mean, what you put into your body is your fuel. If you put in not not great fuel, you might not have the best performances as you truly should.
Okay. I want to go back to something, an earlier question. He talked about opportunities for kids who want to be professional swimmers. And you swam in high school, you swam in college, and then you transition into your professional swim career. I think a lot of kids see swimmers like Katie Ledecky and Simone, and they're still in college, but we still consider them professional swimmers because we see them in the Olympics.
Yeah, well, swimming's definitely a little different just because you can. I mean, you could be an Olympic gold medalist before you're in college. I mean, there's lots of people that are like that, and it's definitely a sport though that most of your athletes do go to college and most of them graduate, and then the ones that do turn pro after, or maybe right after an Olympics. So it's not like something like obviously basketball or football where you have a lot of underclassmen that are, or a lot of 20, 21-year-olds that are in the professional leagues. A lot of the swimmers tend to obviously get your degrees.
So tell us about your transition from a collegiate swimmer to a professional swimmer and what that means. I mean, your full-time job is to be a swimmer.
Yeah, so I was a journalism major at University of Arizona. I loved U of A. It's a great school. Had a lot of fun and really studied, took care of my job in the classroom and in the pool. But then after that, I set a pretty big goal and said that, what am I going to have to do to really improve? And the summer before that, I didn't really swim well. I represented Team USA at the World University Games. I didn't swim really well. And that fall, the next fall, I had an awesome season and swam really well. And that NCAA's that next March, I really didn't perform as well. And that was my senior year, and things didn't go as well as I planned. And so I decided, hey, I'm just going to mix things up. And so I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, which is 2 hours north. And I pretty much drove from Tucson to Phoenix and lived there and just ate, slept, and swam for a summer. And the big thing from that summer was I had to make the U.S. national team, because the U.S. national team, if you make that, that's how you can support yourself with some funding. And so the summer before that, I had made the national team. And so pretty much I had my mom and dad had kind of helped me out a lot that first summer, really just trying to get on my own. And I really probably never would have been able to do it without their help. And so that first summer, I made the U.S. national team. So
amazing. That was, yeah.
And after that, it really kind of kick-started a lot of things. I got to travel a little bit more, and I did the World Cup meets in China, Japan, and Singapore. And then the next summer, I represented Team USA at the Pan American Games, where I won gold. So it was cool. A lot of opportunities, I would say, probably came just from that first summer off of being a professional. And it was definitely kind of tense because you go from being a college kid where, they take care of everything, and they help out with your education costs, and you get meal money, and it was good coverage. But after that, I don't know where anything's coming from, and swimming was my job. So for me, I really had to make sure that I did a good job and was on the U.S. national team. And anytime I perform, I try to do my best. There's nothing wrong with swimming fast.
Excellent. So you talked about some of your successes. I know you have some trophies, some medals you want to show to the viewers at home. But
yeah,
before we do that, I really want you to help our kids and their parents understand how you dealt with it when you didn't perform as well as you wanted to, and how you left that in the past and moved forward. What do you do, and what can a parent do when their kid gets out of the pool and they know their kid didn't swim the way they thought they were going to?
Yeah, well, that's something that I would say really needs to be covered a lot better in our swimming today. Is swimming is a really hard sport. There's no other sport that's really like it. It's you and the clock. If you don't do well, the clock's going to show it. It's not going to care if you're sick or you're tired or something happened. If you don't do the work and you don't execute your race plan, the clock's not going to show the time that you want to show. And so that it makes definitely for some times where you're not going to be on your best. And I've had many performances which were duds, and I've had many performances which were really, something special, something that was, one of the best performances in the world. But when I would have some of those duds, and it is really hard, because if you really care about your swimming, it hurts, obviously, not doing well and not executing. But what I would try to do is just flush it and, move on to the next thing. I was always at my swim meets, I listened to a lot of music. So I listened to a lot of hip hop and rap, stuff like that. So I just, put my headphones on and just jam out and try and flush it and move on to the next thing. If that was a race where my season ended on that race, that one kind of might sting a little bit more. But at the same time, the best way how to move from it is to really set your goals for the next season and just use it as fuel and motivation. The hardest season, one of the hardest seasons I ever had, one of them was in high school, and I was really trying to make the Olympic trials in 2008. And my whole family, we bought tickets, we had hotel rooms, we had everything ready to go to Omaha. And I didn't make it. And it was really hard. And I went and watched the results, and I watched all my friends that were at the meet and all the people that I raced in my competition. And it really kind of stung for a little bit. But I used that as motivation, and I thought about that whenever I didn't want to come to practice, whenever I didn't want to do the work, whenever I was kind of tired or wanted to make an excuse. I thought about, hey, while you were watching Olympic trials, all these guys were swimming and doing all this stuff, and that really hurt me. But at the same time, the next season, obviously it was after the fact, but I went from, in 2008, not making one Olympic trial cut, to 2009, I had 5. So
awesome. I saw one of your Olympic trials races. You were in the pool with Michael Phelps.
Yeah, so it was cool. Michael is the best of the best. So anytime where you get to race someone like that, it's really a unique opportunity. I mean, the whole crowd kind of gravitates toward everything he does, which they should, because he's the Michael Jordan of swimming. There's nobody like him.
Okay. But I would just say what I got from that was that from watching at home, it was almost like you tied. I mean, the way that how close the races are, it really is about, a quarter of a second and a half a second. It's not like someone's winning by yards and yards.
No, it's different at the elite level. The races are a lot more competitive, and it's all about, how you hit your walls, how you hit your turns. Like, if you hit your turn on a rough touch, sometimes it can cost you the entire race. And that's what's a lot, crazier over, racing against the elites and racing, the best guys in the world, is if you have one error or one slip up, it's game over. So you really just have to be focused and loose and just relaxed. It's a lot of stress, obviously, sometimes when you're racing these big guys. I mean, who wouldn't be a little nervous? You race Michael Phelps, you race Brian Locke.
Right.
At the same time, one thing my dad always told me, and this is something that's always stuck with me since I've been a little kid. Any given day, anybody can lose. And that's the beauty of sports, man. On any given day, anybody can lose. And so what that means is if you go out there and you execute and you lay it out on the line and you just worry about yourself and your performance and you do things how you should, obviously, more than not, things will go pretty well. And sometimes you'll get some big wins.
Yes, because if anybody can lose on any given day, that means anybody could win.
You are more than right.
You said something a minute or so ago about flushing it. What do you mean by flushing it?
Flushing it. So that's an expression. What I mean is just flush it down the toilet.
Okay.
So you just get those negative attitudes or those negative thoughts, all the doubt, all the, the bad feelings. I'm disappointed. I let my mom down. I let my dad down. My coach is upset at me. You just flush all that down the toilet and you just move on to the next race. I mean, you have another opportunity. So it's just really control what you can still focus on. I mean, focus on what you can still control, which is your effort, your intentions, your mindset. You can't control a bad race that you had 5 minutes ago. It's already over. So it's just, instead of dwelling on that and having that impact your next races, just go out there and make a statement with your next race.
Okay. Now, you had some hardware you wanted to show us.
Yeah, so this is for all the kids, and just a little something of what happens when you work hard and you stay diligent and you're just consistent. I don't think I was the most talented swimmer in the world, but I think that I really worked hard, and a lot of opportunities where a lot of people might have kind of quit or given up, I never did. And I think that, these two things kind of are a testament to that. So the first one is one of my national championship rings from University of Arizona.
Cool.
It's got the Wildcat Eyes, our team's slogan, heart, soul, passion, battle, as the Arizona swimming on it. And got my name in. Do we have a record on there? 400 medley relay. So we won the 400 medley relay that year.
400. Okay. And what
And then
did you do, freestyle or butterfly?
I did butterfly. So I did 100 butterfly.
Cool.
And then the next one we have here is the gold medal from Pan American Games in the 100 butterfly. And this was in 2015 in Toronto. And so this was a really cool award and a meet, just because Pan American Games is basically like the Olympics, but for the countries in North America. So you obviously have Canada, the United States, all the Brazil, Mexico, Venezuela, all those countries like that. And you live in an athlete village, and it's just like the Olympics. The meals are prepared. Everybody is in the village, walking around, mingling different sports. You go through and you see all types of different athletes. I actually saw a bunch of University of Arizona basketball players that I knew that were playing there. So it was cool. And the really special thing about Pan American Games was I just remember when they were playing the national anthem and I was, singing it and everything, because that was my first international gold medal. But just I got to see my mom and my dad and see them in the stands, and just see, you can kind of tell when they're really proud. And that was just an amazing moment. One thing that I always try to do for my mom is whenever I had won or win a big race, they usually give you a stuffed animal or something like that. And so my mom loves stuffed animals. When I was born, there was a stuffed animal of a big bear and a little bear. And the little bear is supposed to be me, the big bear is supposed to be her. And
Okay,
so
mama bear.
any stuffed animals or anything, a lot of people throw them into the crowd or throw them away. And no, not me. I make sure I give it to my mom. So.
Aw, and she's sweet. Okay. Well, we're getting close to the end. I want to ask you one more question about the Pan American Games. I'm glad that you brought that up, because there's such a focus on the Olympics. All little kids want to go to the Olympics. Can you talk about all the other amazing opportunities there are to race on the international stage other than the Olympics?
Yeah, there's a ton of opportunities, and I'll try and just lay it out kind of quickly and easy for the kids. So basically, to get to the Olympics, that's a dream goal. So that's something that's kind of like, way out there, and it might take everything that you have. You might not be able to achieve your dream goal, and that's all right. But on that path to get to the Olympics, there's a ton of other meets.
Right.
When you're in high school, the biggest meet out there that you can probably race is the junior nationals. And so the junior nationals are basically the United States nationals, but 18 and under. And a lot of the people that are there are the people that will be swimming D1 colleges and, swimming for the next big schools over the next couple of years. Then they have the World University Games, which is, I swam in it and it was in Russia, but they have it every 2 years, and it's for college students. And so they pick, the best United States college swimmers every year, and they go to World University Games. Then there are the World Championships, which are in the odd years, which are basically the Olympics, but they're in every other year. So like 2015, 2017, 2019. So there's the World Championships every 2 years. And then obviously the Olympics, which are every 4 years, and that's, the biggest spectacle in the sport. So
Right.
That's a really unique experience, and the whole world tunes in, and it really lifts swimming on a different platform than it usually is. But I like watching the Olympics. I really I think that I got a lot of my hunger and my desire from watching the Olympics and just watching so many races as a little kid and just being so inspired. So anything where you can have an avenue that can just inspire kids to do something that they maybe thought was impossible is a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much, Giles, for sharing your expertise and your experiences with us. Is there anything that you want to say to the young swimmers out there who hope to get a swimming scholarship and swim in some international meets when they get older?
Yeah, just keep working hard. Swimming is it's a work sport. It's a grind sport. It's not something that you can do 2 days and then take 2 days off and then go 3 days on and 3 days off. It's something that you have to live. But it's a sport that's really rewarding because it teaches you discipline, sacrifice, how to lay it out on the line, how to really hurt. Because, I mean, some of those races, if you swim a 500 free right, you're going to be in a lot of pain. So it teaches a lot of life skills that I really love about the sport. And in order for kids to really just take their swimming to the next level, I would say just ask a lot of questions and ask, why does my body move like this in the water? And how can I become a better kicker? Really just analyze your swimming and try and find your strengths, your weaknesses, and grow on those. The best thing that my family always did for me when I was a little kid was they filmed all my races. And so as a little boy, 10 years old, I've been watching all my races, through adulthood. So I had clearly known what I had been swimming like, since I had been 10 and knew what to look for, what didn't look good and what looked good. And that was something that I think really helped me along the way that my parents did, just because you get to see, oh, wow, I breathed off of the turn, or, I didn't do this many kicks. And that's how I really learned. I learned from doing things. I learned from practice. And this sport is there's no sport like it. It's a very difficult sport, but if you work hard at it, you can achieve anything, and you can travel the world. You can get an education. I mean, I think I'm living proof of it. So,
yes, you definitely are. We are so extremely proud of you and so thankful that you took the time to be with us this evening. And tomorrow we're going to have your parents.
all
Harold
right.
and Marcia Smith will be here to give advice to swim parents on how to get their kid from, maybe just summer swimming all the way to college and beyond.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Clearly they did.
They were the MVPs.
They're the real MVP.
They're basically out there swimming with me, all the support that they did. And my mom and my dad, my dad would kind of shuttle me around a lot. And my mom, she worked really hard, and she worked Monday through Thursday out of town. And it was a lot of sacrifice that my parents put to put me in this position. So I'm just really thankful to have them.
Okay. Well, thank you, Giles. Get your rest. I know you're still training, still swimming. So thanks again and have a great night.
All right, Ebony. Thank you. Take care. You have a good night as well.
Bye-bye.
All right.